Today, I would like to share with you an excerpt of my book called Spiritual Awakening to Peace, a guide for your soul's journey, the Heal, Honor, Shine 3-step process. Becoming aware of the subconscious mind. Starting in our earliest childhood, we use our senses to experience and learn about ourselves and the world we live in. Based on what we see, feel, smell, taste, and hear, we begin to categorize what is confronting us through our own perspective. If something appears pleasant to us, we categorize it as safe, good, and desirable. We want more of that. On the other hand, if something threatens our safety or appears unpleasant to us, we immediately categorize it as unsafe, dangerous, bad, and we try to avoid the same situation at all costs. It is a safety mechanism helping us to survive and make choices that seem more favorable. We see the world from our perspective, based on our first experiences in life. In a way, through our senses, we all live in our own made-up world. We decide what is good or bad, what we want more of, and what we would like to avoid. For example, a person growing up in a nurturing and stable home has a whole different perspective on relationships and safety than a child growing up in a disruptive and violent upbringing. Over the years, they may change and expand their perspective, but their first experience is already locked in deeply into their subconscious mind. The subconscious mind stores all of our past experiences and has locked up and categorized our memories based upon our first encounter with it. It is locked into a place based on our first perspective. We begin to live life based on the rules we have created for ourselves. We decided what is safe and what is not. As we grow older, this way of living becomes our habits, and our habits shape our characteristics. We are then becoming someone based on what our experiences in the past has taught us. Whether we are aware of our habits or not, they play an important part of how we show up in the world. It is like getting into character in a movie or putting on our armor to protect ourselves from any potential harm we might encounter in our relationships, in our workplace, in our life. We walk around with a set idea of what is good and what is bad without truly experiencing new impressions for what they are. We live within our very own limitations we have set for ourselves. Our subconscious mind is hard at work telling us what is acceptable and what we must avoid. Our reactions to any given situation are a direct indicator and a window to our subconscious mind carrying on for us. Have you ever experienced yourself in an argument saying something that was out of character, and later you were wondering where that came from? It comes from your subconscious mind in the driver's seat. The question then is, if the subconscious mind is the driver's seat in those moments, then who are you in the back seat, observing the whole situation without much control in that moment? Stay tuned, as we will explore this in much more detail in our later chapters. For now, it is important to see our subconscious mind for what it is and learn to befriend it. Embracing your shadow. When you begin to stand in the sun, your shadow will appear as well. The shadow is part of you. When you're walking on your spiritual journey and you begin to open yourself up to the light within you, you will come across your shadow, your egoic self, the self that was born from your subconscious mind. Becoming conscious gives you the ability to recognize your shadow and gives you deeper insight into your subconscious mind. If the egoic self is in the driver's seat and you have little to nothing to say in the back seat, life can feel like you are driven without having any control. It can create stress, anxiety, and unease. Often people do not even realize where that feeling is coming from because there might not be anything wrong externally. So, is the shadow your enemy? Is it something you need to overcome or silence? Not at all. Just trying to attempt doing so can cause even more stress. The shadow is doing what it is supposed to do. It is here to alert you and show you aspects of your past. Its goal is not to get hurt again. A lot of times, people think that they need to fight their shadow and make it go away. But what if you can begin to see it as your shadow child? A wounded child that somewhere along the way was deeply hurt through its own perspective at the time. If you can begin to see it as your younger version and begin to talk to your younger self, you can change your relationship with your shadow child. What would you tell your shadow child with all the experience you have gained over the years? How would you encourage your shadow child and help it feel understood, cared for, and yes, even loved? If you can bring yourself to see your connection with your shadow child in this light, it can create a powerful shift on many levels. It will shift your focus from the outer noise to your inner voice as you begin to heal yourself. You will notice that with repeated practice of embracing your shadow child, you will feel more centered and your attention will move into your innermost being. The focus is not to quiet the outer mind. The aim is to bring more awareness to your inner guidance, the I Am presence, the divine. Focusing the attention on the I Am presence will quiet the outer mind on its own. Being aware of and embracing your shadow child creates lightness and the relationship feels more whole. You might even be able to smile at your shadow child and recognize where it is coming from in a loving and understanding way, like a parent observing their child. Your shadow child is not your enemy that you need to fight. It is simply here for you to recognize it in your everyday life, understand where it is coming from, what its purpose is, and to embrace it for what it is. Heal, honor, shine. The process. Now that we are getting to know our shadow child and becoming more aware of how it stores memories and sends alert messages within our subconscious mind, let us now have a closer look at the question we came across in an earlier chapter. We discovered that most of the time throughout our daily life, we let our subconscious mind be in the driver's seat. Another way of saying this is your shadow child is in the driver's seat. We are getting closer to answering the question, who are you in the back seat as an observer? This can lead to more questions such as, why are you in the back seat? And why is shadow child driving? It seems the roles are completely reversed here. As much as you are learning to embrace your shadow child, it is time for you to step into your true purpose and become the driver. It is time to release your shadow child's role of making the decisions and letting it get comfortable in the back seat. You can still have a conversation with it while it rests in the back, but you are the driver and you decide on the direction and destination. This is now starting to come together and making more sense, but practically speaking, how do you do this? How do you switch the roles after years of sitting in the back, most likely not even aware of who you are allowing to be your driver? And finally, who are you as a driver? These questions are the true reasons why you are reading this book and feel a connection. Finding the answers will lead you to your higher purpose in life, because to live your purpose, you need to first discover who you are. At some time before you were born, you made a decision to be here in this life now. You made a plan along with your guides, and you came here to follow the map you have created. It is now time for you to remember what you already know deep within. It is time to open the door and step through it into the life you came here to live. In this book, I will introduce you to a 3-step process you can apply in your life now to find your own answers. Let me give you an overview of the Heal, Honor, Shine process. When I first began to really look for my own spiritual path and where I am supposed to go with this, I spent a lot of time reading, watching spiritual YouTube videos, practicing meditations, visualizing, and then some more reading. All of this was really good and I have learned a lot. It kept me hungry for more, and I was still looking for the juicy part. Only after years and years of looking, I came to the realization that I had skipped some parts of my spiritual life map. I was so focused on the end result, I could almost taste it, but something kept it out of reach. I realized that I needed to do more than focusing on it and visualize the end. I needed to actually walk the path I had planned for my own spiritual growth long before I was born in this lifetime. The Heal, Honor, Shine 3-step process is the map. It will take you to your destinations once you follow the steps that lead you there. Heal. We have already touched on the shadow child in the previous chapters. The shadow child, once you recognize it and acknowledge its existence, needs healing. It is still traumatized by events you may not even remember anymore. Your shadow child remembers and is still stuck in that scene that plays over and over like a song on repeat. The healing needs to come from you. It is the messiest part of the whole process, but a necessary cleanup. In this step of the process, you will learn practical ways to get in touch with your shadow child, reconnect in a loving way, and finally heal from old wounds. Honor. After your healing process, old masks you have worn, old coats that buried the real you, and walls you have built will begin to fade, and underneath all of those protective layers, the true you, yourself, will emerge. It has always been there, but it often seems disconnected between all the masks and layers that have been built over time. Once you can see your true self, it is time to get to know yourself in a whole different way. In a way, it will feel like seeing a long-lost friend, and you remember everything about your friend. In this step, you will learn to honor your true self once again. Shine. Once you have healed and then finally met your true self, you can then recognize what it is you are meant to do. You will see yourself from a whole new perspective, and you have a clear connection to your inner guidance. Your inner guidance will help you on your spiritual journey, leading you onwards every step of the way. This is where you will discover why you are here and how you can contribute to the bigger picture. This is the step where you feel ready to step into a world you are creating, to show your colors to the world and shine. Are you ready to embark on this journey with me? Yes, it is a messy work in the beginning, but this is where I come in. You are not alone in this process. I am here to guide you and encourage you through it, with practical exercises to deliver more clarity throughout every step. You can walk confidently, knowing that there is a clear map you can follow, and I am your tour guide. So when you're ready, let's open your map and let us follow the path step by step together.